All right, we are on the second part of doing the exercise in Chapter 6 of the text, learning how to use the different types of isoplane tools and creating isometric drawings here in two-dimensional AutoCAD. So as I take a look at this, make sure right now we need to have our auto snaps on, so make sure that you have the endpoint and midpoint on. We'll go ahead and turn off quadrant and intersection. So really at this point, the only two that you really need on is endpoint and midpoint as far as those auto snaps. Now, we are going to basically place center points for the arcs or for the radii in the corner, and of course for the circle here on this plane. So let's kind of take a look at how we're going to do this. So first off, we're going to go ahead, left click on your line tool to activate your line tool. Now we know that the circle that goes on this surface is going to be halfway up and in middle. So we can use the midpoint of this line. So I'm going to select that midpoint. And now if we remember what the size was when we actually drew that, that was 3.5 inches. So if you think about it, from here to here was 3.5 inches. So we need this line then to be 1.75 at 90 degrees. So right click and click enter to get out of the line drawing tool. So this endpoint right here will be of that line will be the center of the ellipse that's going to go on there. Now remember, it's not going to be a circle because as we take a look at these items, so when we turn the part into the isometric view, it basically lengthens the circle in one plane and shortens the circle in the other, so it becomes an ellipse, even though we know that in reality, if we were looking directly at it, that it would be a full circle. So but we get that ellipse when it's rotated here at this 30-degree isometric view. And we also need to kind of find a point and draw a line from here too. So I'm going to go back into my line tool. So now I'm going to click on this point and just kind of move this. Now if you think about this, I'm going to say we know that that is going to be 1 inch over. So I'm just going to type 1, tab to 30, and hit enter. So that's going to be the first endpoint. Now I can come directly down from there, and this is also going to be 1 inch or 1 inch in length. Tab over at 90 degrees, and that places that line. So let's go ahead and right click enter to get out of that. Right click, repeat the line. We're going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to come back this way. This is going to be 1 tab. At this point, we're coming back at 150 degrees. Hit enter. So now we're 1 tab 90 degrees to place that line. Enter. And now we have the endpoints that we can use when we draw our ellipses. All right, now let's take a look at what this ellipse should be. So notice we're going to stay here in the isoplane left. I just want to kind of show you some of the differences. So now we're not going to use any of the circle tools here, because it's not going to be a circle. It's going to be an ellipse. So we need to come over here, and the ellipse tool that we're going to use is this axis end tool. So left click on the axis end tool. Notice you get different conditions. So arc, center, or iso circle. Well, in this case, we want to create the iso circle. So I'm going to hit I and enter. And now let's go in, and now it wants the center of the iso circle. So I'm going to click right here on the endpoint. So, and now notice the direction that this particular iso circle is going. So if I kind of come in here, that iso circle, if you think about it, is what it would look like here from the front plane. Or so let's go ahead and let's switch this around. So that is the isoplane left. What would it look like if I switched to the isoplane top? Well, now this is what it would look like with the isoplane top, and that's not correct either. What we really want here is the isoplane right. And this is going to give us the look. So there we go. I can come right up here to the endpoint. So left click, and there's my circle. We're going to do the same thing here with the other one. So repeat the isoplane again, or the ellipse. So we're going to hit ISO circle, enter. So, and we're going to come to here, and we're going to move up to that endpoint. So now we've got both of those. So, and lastly, as we go through this, so if you think about this, I will also need to do the same thing right here. But I want to make some corrections here first. So before we do that, let's go and do some trimming here. So if I say trim tool, I don't need that part. So I just need that, and I don't need that part. Now, if you go to use the trim tool and it wants to basically trim out the whole circle, well, that means that one of these tangency points, you don't have an actual connection with the line, and it might even be very small, so you'll have to go back in, zoom in on those tangency points, and see something is off in your distance or your size, because you haven't actually created the tangency point between the arc and the line. So that takes care of that. Now I can go back in. Let's go back and create this center circle here as well. So back to my ellipse, axis end, I, enter for ISO circle. I can click right here on this endpoint. And in this case, as we go, so notice it says D, so you can either specify R for radius or D for diameter, and I believe in this case, I got to double check, but I believe that is a 1-inch diameter. So we'll go ahead and use that. So and create that as a 1-inch diameter. So I'm going to say D, enter, and the diameter then will be 1 inch. So looks a little wrong. We'll come back and kind of change that here in a few minutes. So I'll take as I give you some more hints as we take a look at this. All right. So that leaves us lastly with the cutout circle as well. Now, in this case, we are going to use the midpoint of the line, and we're going to use the isoplane top to place that circle. So let's go ahead and as we go through this, so I will take the isoplane, or the ellipse axis end. So here is the midpoint. So, and again, in this case, so, I messed up, so hit escape. Let's try that again. So we'll go back to the axis end. So hit I for enter for the ISO circle. Here is the actual circle, and in this case, our diameter here, so on that particular was 3-inch diameter, or 1.5-inch radius. So I'll type in 3 and hit enter, and that gives me the isoplane circle right there. So now that gives us a pretty good starting point for our construction geometry. So I'm going to pause this video. We'll come back. We'll talk about a couple of other things here. And then we will go ahead and start to add the object lines and make some changes to this here as we go, and as we kind of create the rest of this drawing and finish it off.